What is up, guys? Games of Bacon here, and I'm here in After Effects. Figured I would give you a quick rundown of how I do the animations for stop motion. And yeah, it's not really a tutorial, it's just more of a general guide, a few little hints and tips that I've figured out along the way. And yeah, let's get into it, shall we? So if you do use After Effects, this is going to be super helpful. If you don't, I don't know, I'm afraid you're going to have to look online and try and figure something else out. What you're looking for is sprite sheets. You want to make a sprite sheet out of your animation, and that's kind of like the end result. So whatever software you use, look up how to make sprite sheets with that, and hopefully you should find some useful resources online. However, we have something super cool with After Effects. It's called Sheetah. You can see that right here, and you can get it. I'll put links in the description, but you can get it here at aescripts.com. And it says $18.99, but it's actually name your own price. So, you know, I threw about $5 in, just a little something. I'm not super well off, so I couldn't pay the full price that they were asking for. But if you're really not well off, or you're not sure about the product, you can do what I did. At first, I paid nothing. I've just put a $0 in. That's absolutely fine. It lets you do that. And then when I realized it was exactly what I wanted, did exactly what I needed to do, I went back and I gave them some money. So that's a really cool. It's really cool. It does exactly what you need, and it does it very well and very quickly. So that's a super useful tool. I'm going to be using the Saber plugin from Video Copilot. You don't have to use this at all. If you know what you're doing in After Effects, awesome. None of this is necessary at all in any way whatsoever. A Sheetah may be more necessary, but nothing else is. This is just a really cool plugin. It makes things really easy to look fancy and snazzy, and I'm not an After Effects expert whatsoever, so this is just really useful for me. And then we're going to use Wowhead just to get the icons and stuff. And as you can see, I actually have a little list here, and these are going to be our powers of 2, if you're not sure what these are. So these are super necessary when it comes to importing graphics and stuff into World of Warcraft. Everything has to be in a format of TGA, and it has to be in a power of 2. So this can be really useful. You can go bigger than this. Obviously, it carries on after 1024, but for now, we're just going to do this. So, right, so here we are in After Effects. I'm going to make a new composition, and what spell should we do? What am I playing at the moment? I am on my shaman. Let's do a lightning bolt. Okay, we can do lightning bolt. That'll be all right. That'll work really well, actually. So lightning bolt, which I can't spell. And already we're going with this power 2. So I happen to know that the icons off of Wowhead are 52 pixels by 52 pixels, which isn't a power 2, but if we scale it up slightly, 64 by 64 isn't too bad. So let's go grab that. Lightning bolt. It will, whatever. It will figure it out, I'm sure. Will it figure it out? Come on. Wowhead being fantastic as always. And there we go. Right, okay, so we can just click on this ability, and you click on the icon again, and click original. And this is going to give us the image just because it can. I'll just drop that in my downloads. And then we're going to do 64 by 64, and we'll press OK. And what we'll do is, I'll just grab that and drop it in here. Cool. So you don't even have to do this, honestly. This is just the way I've been doing it. I want to keep the theme as similar to WoW's as possible, and just kind of make what WoW already has, and just kind of like fiddle with it and well, quote unquote improve it, depending on your opinion, obviously. And just make that a little bit bigger. It should fit. Just a little bit more. There we go. So yeah, I mean, you don't even have to do this at all. You could make any animation you want at all, in any way whatsoever, from scratch, and it will just, yeah, you can literally make anything. There's no limits whatsoever. But this is what I'm doing for now. So I'm going to use no layer is selected. It should be. There we go. Saber. going to add the Saber effect. So this is the guy at Video Copilot that made this plugin. He worked on Star Wars. He didn't do the lightsabers for Star Wars, as far as I know, but he did work on the new Star Wars movies, and this is just a cool plugin he made while he was doing it, just kind of for fun, because he was surrounded by lightsabers and wanted to make lightsabery stuff. So how does it work? There's a full video on their website. If you search for Saber plugin, there's a whole video here, 36 minutes long. He goes through loads of it. So I'm not going to go too far into it, because you can look all this stuff up, as it's completely free. It's a great tutorial. So I highly suggest Video Copilot for learning how to use After Effects. The videos can be like between 4 years old and 6 months old, but they're still very useful, and you can find loads of other stuff on YouTube as well. So in my case, I'm going to go into custom core, and I don't want to use Saber. I want to use a layer mask. And then in my render settings, I'm going to make sure that the background is transparent. And then for now, we're just going to turn Saber off. In actual fact, I have done this completely wrong. I'm going to make a new solid. It's basically just I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than the actual composition, just so I've got a bit of wiggle room. And then we're going to add Saber to this, actually. I don't know why I was adding Saber to that. Too many things going on at once. So this is basically just a blank layer, and we're going to put our effect on it, and we're going to go back to layer mask and render settings. We're going to put transparent. So we can kind of see through it now. We can actually see the icon underneath, which is super useful. Obviously, we want to actually be able to use the icon. And all we need to do is draw a mask. So if we draw a mask on here, it's the line is then going to follow it. So for now, we'll just turn Saber off so we can see what we're doing. And to draw a mask, you just pick up the pen tool or a shape tool if you want. So if you wanted to do something around the outside, around the edges, you do that, and now it follows the edges. But in this case, I think what I'll do is I'll just follow the actual thing, because it looks pretty cool. We'll do something like this. Yeah, that should do the job. And you can have more than one mask, so you could put something in from here if you wanted. And then you could... Go away. Oh god. Again, not a pro with this sort of stuff. You might be able to tell. There we go. So I got a couple of masks here. I'll probably get rid of those other ones, honestly. But yeah, let's get this going. So we click Saber now, and we turn this layer back on, and you can see that the lines are following the mask. Now this obviously doesn't look very good, but there's loads of settings in here. You can change the glow intensity. You can change the way it spreads. You can have it spread more or less. You can change a bias, so you can maybe like pull it in tighter. Yeah, lots and lots of stuff. And there's evolution, so you can animate. You can change the way it flickers if you want it to like flicker on and off over time. So as you do that, you see it's flickering now. There's distortion. There's so much stuff you can go through, and you can change all these things, and they're gonna change the way it looks. But let's be super lazy, and they have this preset button at the top, which is great. So we're gonna hit reset, set this back to mask. Let's go to transparent, and then, well, what kind of ability is it? It's a lightning ability. So let's see if they have any zap. Zap sounds lightning-y, right? Okay, that looks fairly lightning-y. It's definitely the sort of thing, but holy crap, is that over the top? But again, we can go in, turn it down, make it suit our needs a lot more. And let's see. Is there anything else that might work? I mean, you can literally just look through these. That one's kind of, you know, it's got this kind of background glow, which is very different to the actual core wobbling. So that's kind of something different. You can do pulse. Holy crap, that's way over the top. This is probably the biggest issue of working with such a small image. These things are very, very over the top. Let's go with Zap, and we're going to change the core size down to like 0.5. There we go. That's something. That's a bit more useful. And I tend to look at it from quite far away. I mean, if you really wanted, that would probably work fine. And I mean, it looks pretty cool. But let's see what else we can do. Let's try and make the core a little bit bigger. And we'll change the glow bias down so it's less kind of. Ooh. Okay, so let's do like a 0.05, 0.1. Yeah, that's not too bad. 0.08 maybe. 0.075. That's just kind of. That's all right. We'll get rid of these other masks. We don't need them. So the core's kind of distorting around a lot. Let's maybe turn that down to like 5. There we go. That's kind of cool. And maybe I will add some more masks. Let's pause this a second. Maybe we'll just kind of add these little tendrily bits in. I mean, on my screen it'd probably be something like that. Still a bit over the top. So let's go and just turn the glow intensity down, maybe 30%. See, something like that. That's better. That's pretty cool. Maybe a 40%. Add a little something to it. So the glow distortion, all this stuff is kind of like all over the place at the moment. So let's lower this down a little bit. And we can even maybe change the wind speed to like 0. That should kind of let it settle down a little bit. And I'm not too keen on the glow in general, really. So let's go and kind of do something like that. Bring down the size multiplier. Maybe put this back up. Not that much. As you can see, it's just a lot of fiddling. So let's go with this, right? That looks pretty cool. I kind of like that. From a distance, you know, that's gonna look good on your bar. Maybe you can definitely see that it's off of cooldown. That's for sure. So you can tell that it's actually not repeating very well. As soon as it gets to the end, you'll see it kind of jump, which you might not notice, but I tend to try and not have that be a thing if possible. So there is a really quick solution to it. So we're going to just lock this bottom one. We're going to copy this layer we have here. So stop opening that, please. So I'm going to rename this. I'm just going to call this lightning, and we'll duplicate it so we have lightning 2. And what you want to do with one of them is just push it over so that it's right near the end. And then maybe, is that even visible? Yeah, so that should be about right. So that should look the exact same as that. It does. Okay. So what we're going to do then, we're going to drag this, not drag it over, but extend the length back this way. So what we've done is we've kind of said, right, the bottom one now looks the exact same as the top one when it's over here, because we've pushed it all the way over. So the place where they're identical is now one at the beginning and one at the end. And then we've extended the bottom one just so we can filter it out a little bit. So we're going to get the opacity. We're going to give it a time, and we're going to say over here we want it to be 0%, because right now we want it to use this bottom one. And then over at the other side we want it to be 100%, because we want to fade into where this one is going to start looking the same. Hopefully it should loop. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but you can find videos about it online, like looping effects and things. And we're going to do the same here. This side's going to be 100, and this side is going to be 0. So you basically want to swap them over. So let's see how that looks. You can see you have this like weird ghosting, but it is looping where like one's on top of the other. So what I tend to do to stop that is I'll take this one that's on 0 and I'll kind of bring it over to maybe like the last 20 frames or so. And then I'll bring this over from 100 and put it kind of like just a little bit further over. So you won't get as much of that ghosting. Maybe in the same place. Just kind of have to fiddle with it a little bit. something like that. And it's going to be so short that you shouldn't actually notice that whatsoever. Yeah, so now you can see it's actually looping. There's no like sudden jump or judder. And that should be pretty cool. That should look pretty good on a bar. Yeah, okay. So now we have our animation. What's a couple of things that are important about our timeline and what we've done here? So this is a 3-second long animation, and I have my composition sized at, let me have a look. It's 64 by 64 for 3 seconds at a frame rate of about 30 FPS. So 3 seconds, 30 FPS, we have 90 frames. That is useful to know. And also, knowing the size, we'll get a dimension and columns up here because we're about to use Sheetah, we're about to export it, and then we'll throw it into WoW. I'll show you where to put it and all that sort of thing. So, a dimension and columns, I tend to use distribute and power 2. This will guarantee that it is using a power 2, which makes it very, very easy. And then distribute just means that it will spread it out evenly, which is super useful, obviously. We want to export as TGA. And you don't need to set up for animation or export animations. They can be useful. So you could have, like, say, 0 to 1 second could be one thing, and then 1 to 2 seconds could be another, and it would basically export them as separate and like separate sheets for separate animations. But I generally don't do that. So let's see. The other choice you have as well, you don't need to actually export the backdrop. Obviously, you don't need to have the image because you already have it in game. So you can turn that off, and we can just export this bit. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I might go into the core actually and get rid of blend on top. Yeah, there we go. We don't have that like solid bar now. It's just the lightning, which is all we needed. There we go. Cool. So I'm gonna save this as a sprite sheet. As you can see, I already have some here. I'm using the PTR in this case, so we'll open that up in just a second. And I'm putting it in textures. I have one called mine, and then we'll just do test bolt, test underscore bolt, and then I tend to put the amount of frames, so I do like underscore 90. So I know that this is 90 frames long, and that'll just help me remember when I'm in game. All right, so we'll save that there, and that's it. So now if I was to go and open that up, textures, mine, test bolt 90, and I use IR fan view. It's just a really good one. It opens up anything really. And yeah, so now you can see that we have 16 columns across, and it's going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's like 6.5-ish rows. As I explained in my other video, just because it's using 6.5 rows doesn't mean that you put 6 rows inside of WoW. You have to still do it as a power 2 because everything needs power 2s. So it's going to do 8-ish. 8 exactly, actually. So it'll be 16 by 8 in this case. But if you have obviously a longer animation, then you can change the dimensions if you want it more than 16 columns, and you can change, you know, the other one's auto, or you can have it be a specific amount if you like. You can do all sorts of stuff. I believe the only thing that stop motion will actually like limit you to is a 4K image. I believe there's a point where the image can be so big that it just won't work, which means that your animations are somewhat limited, but really not. Because if you're doing 4K images, then I don't know. You're doing some really big ones, obviously, and I don't know what you'd really use them for inside of WoW. But let's see, shall we? So this isn't actually much use on my shaman because he's on the live, and I haven't set this up on live yet. I've been messing around a bit on the PTR. So let's quickly cancel out this. And I will just start WoW up. Give me 1 second. Okay, so while PTR is loading, let me go through a few things with you. So in WeakAura stop motion, you have these stop motion textures Lua file. If we open this up, this is how you can make sure that your textures are actually added to the UI inside. I've set some up here. I just copied and pasted this, so I made like a a runes one. Took the runes one, pasted it in, renamed it. So let's call this, I don't know, dot tutorial. And then I didn't need any of this, but I'm just going to keep the top one. And I happen to know that the thing is the / I think it's mine, and then double /, and we called it test _ bolt _ 90.tga, and then you can give it a name, bolt test, and then you save that. You can then go in and you can tell it exactly how many rows and columns and things these have, and that will make it display correctly and kind of animate in the UI. But I'm not too worried about that. As long as I have a general look at it and the bolt, the name, that's fine for me. But you can definitely go through and make sure these all look and feel correct when you're inside of the UI, in case you want to organize them to use later or something. So the other thing to note is that I started up WoW when I'd already saved this into this folder. If you have WoW booted and you save into the folder, the add-on isn't going to know that it exists, the new file. It's not going to know to look for it. So what you need to do is actually you need to exit out of WoW and boot it back up when you have the file inside of the folder it needs to be in. Once it's loaded, you can actually save over the top of it, reiterate on it, make it look different, do whatever you want to it. And because WoW knows the file is there, you can just reload UI and it will update. So you don't need to keep restarting, just the one time. So we have that there, and let's have a look in WeakAura's. Let's see what we got. So let's convert this to a stop motion. We'll have a look. Is there? There isn't. Okay, so we just made this new file. We're going to save this, and we'll reload because we just made a new section called .tutorial, and it should have the bolt test in it, assuming I spelled this correctly. So the reload should bring that in, or it will break everything because I'm dumb. Yes, that needs to have an end on it. Now I should be able to save it and reload. Make sure your code's right, guys. If when you're fiddling with these things, you need to make sure that everything is started and end correctly, and that should, yeah, that fixed it. Good. Right, so now we should have, yep, we have tutorial, and there's the bolt. Obviously, it doesn't animate correctly because of a bunch of stuff, but that's fine. Looks good here, though. Frame count 60, it's actually 90, that's fine. Happens to already, it seems to have a default of 16 and 8. I think it's because this is similar to one I had before, so some of the defaults are here. And again, if you need to know how many rows and columns, you can just open the image up in whatever software happens to do it. I'm not going to do a progress, we're going to do a loop. And yeah, the other thing is frame rate. So 15 obviously makes it look quite slow. We did it at 30, so there's that. Unfortunately, I don't have my shaman on PTR, so I can't actually show you it over the thing. I'm sorry about that. But that's it in-game and working. So we've gone all the way from making it in After Effects, we animated it, made it look kind of cool, and now we've got it in-game and working. So that should do the job for you guys. Anything else I can help with, do let me know. Other than anything I've really covered, I'm not sure I could help with it, but I'll do my best. So thanks very much, guys, and I'll speak to you later. Have fun, and don't forget to show me what you've done. That'd be really cool. Thank you. Bye bye.